Hello and welcome to ADHD Adventures, where I am shining the spotlight on fabulous ADHDers and getting some inspiration and the stories. So welcome, Stuart. Thank you for joining me today.
Hello, you all right?
Yeah, good, good. I'm so glad you're here. What I'm gonna do, Stuart, is dive straight into the questions, okay?
Cool. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Let's
Thanks.
crack on.
Right. So what led you to your ADHD diagnosis?
So, it's been a longish journey. So, at the age of I was quite about age of about 16, 17. I was diagnosed with dyspraxia, um, and that was a diagnosis that my parents had been chasing for a long time. I had a bit of like, there's not a lot you can do with dyspraxia. There's not like a pill you can take for it or whatever. But I did a lot of like alternative therapies down in Oxford with a charity. I don't think that they exist anymore, called the Sunflower Trust. So a lot of like a lot of back cracking and a lot of osteopathy kind of stuff. I can't say how it helped, but one thing it did help me with, I used to have a really bad bounce when I walked, and you put a magnet on my belly button, and I came out of the appointment and I'd stopped bouncing. It was
Oh,
wild, absolutely wild. But
gosh.
yeah. So I can't explain it, but it's amazing. But yeah. So I had this dyspraxia diagnosis. So I got a little bit of help with my A levels. Did my GCSEs completely like unaided, but with my A levels, I got assistance with like slightly longer time for coursework, and I got to use a computer for my exams. So that was great. So because my handwriting is terrible, I do struggle with writing for a long period of time. So yeah, that really helped. And then I went to uni and did communications and got like slightly longer time for assignments and things like that. And then got into the world of work and had kids. And my eldest son was struggling a bit at school, like with focus and concentration. We thought maybe he's got ADHD. So when he was about 6 or 7, we got a referral, and it took years, and it turns out that the referral got lost. So he got to like year 5, so he was sort of 10 years of age, and he was really struggling at school, having a horrible time of it. He used to fall asleep in class. He found stuff too hard, he'd just shut down. And it got we got to crisis point, and we were like, right, okay, we're gonna have to go private. So we went private with a lovely psychiatrist, and got him on medication. And the difference was transformational. Like he's thriving. He's doing his best at school, but he's like academically he's thriving. Like he's one of the best readers in his school. Like his maths is okay. But yeah, we've gone from like really like bottom of the pile, like crisis, to like doing okay and doing okay like at school. And he passed his 11 plus, not quite well enough to go to grammar, but anyway, long story short, so I read more and more. The more and more I read about ADHD, the more and more I thought, well, actually, I think I've got ADHD as well. And I think this is a lot of people's journeys. A friend of mine has gone down very much the same route, and she's just been diagnosed as well. So I chased a diagnosis myself, and I didn't go private. I went down the NHS route with one of the private providers who do right to choose. So I got there about 18 months, I'd say, maybe a little bit shorter than that. But that's what led me to where I am now. So yeah.
Wow, so that's quite a journey, and like you say,
Yeah.
it's quite a common one as well, isn't it? With parents, their children
Yeah.
are diagnosed, and then suddenly light bulb moments happen. It's like, hold on a minute, this was me when I was a child.
Absolutely. And I think with schools as well, back then when I was sort of like mid to late 90s, the ADHD was like a recognized thing, but I think if you weren't causing them problems, then they just kind of just let you carry on. And I did all right at school, so it was never really a consideration for them.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay. So, oh, I forgot my first question. Where are you based and what do you do, Stuart?
So I'm a software engineer based in the Midlands, like just north of Birmingham. And yeah, I've basically been doing this sort of thing for a while now. I'm completely self-taught. I didn't really go into this industry like via a traditional route, like doing computer science. I've always liked computers, but I wanted to be a journalist initially, and then I found my way into software development through like being a web editor at a local authority, like basically editing content on the website. And I knew a bit of like HTML, CSS, like website building. And then I just learned on the job. I was very lucky to have like a supportive boss who just let me get on with stuff. And yeah, that's how I got to where I am today.
Yeah, and I love that, you didn't go into your job the traditional route, which is such a thing for ADHDers, isn't it? It's kind of
Yeah,
finding their own way, carving their
yeah,
own path, and here
absolutely. Yeah, I
yeah.
could never have done a computer science degree, I don't think.
Well, look, you've put your brain to use and you didn't need to. Brilliant.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
So, now you know you have ADHD. What's different for you?
It's given me, I mean, even before medication, I think before, when I was with dyspraxia, a lot of the stuff is, they make a lot about the movement element of it, and less about the executive function and the concentration. So it was a bit like, I've got this diagnosis, and I do struggle to concentrate a bit, and I do struggle with executive function and working memory, but it was a bit woolly. Whereas now everyone knows what ADHD is, so I can say I've got ADHD, so I need this, and this in place. So that's really helped. That label, I know some people consider labeling to be a negative thing. I think it can be extremely helpful and empowering. So that's the biggest thing that's changed for me. And then obviously medication. It's very early on. I'm just being titrated at the moment. But it's like, yeah, it's like a friend of my friend who I spoke about earlier. She likened it to like taking your glasses off and giving them a wipe. Like, just everything's a lot more pin sharp and clear.
Wow.
So yeah.
Okay. So, what is different? What are your strengths? We talked a bit about you kind of finding your own path for work, but what else? Strengths?
Yeah. So I think this is something that people have said to me. Like, I'm not afraid. I think sometimes it's difficult for me to get started on something. When I get started, I'm not afraid. I sort of jump into things really, really quickly, and just get on with stuff. I don't get daunted. I don't get bogged down into details. In fact, I shy away from details as much as I can. So yeah, like that's definitely one of my biggest strengths, I think. Like just being able to get on with stuff, and not worry too much about, not sweat the small stuff.
Yeah.
And fine. Oh, sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, I remember speaking to you before, and you've got a natural creative problem-solving brain as well.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, like I don't like necessarily to go down the well-trodden path, and I like to find ways around problems. Whereas some people might say, "Oh, well, there's a problem. I don't know, I can't do it." I find that quite frustrating, actually, when people just give up too easily. I'm just like, no, there must be a way. And I think that's probably because I've spent so much of my life trying to find my ways around my own sort of my own issues. So I've always had to be a creative problem solver to sort of survive.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a really good insight, actually. It's, these strengths are developed, aren't they? And often because of the conditions that we, brain differences. So it's really nice insight. Thank you. I did interrupt you. Is there any other strengths you wanted?
No, that's that you led me on to my second point, so that's perfect. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Brilliant, thank you. So have you got any kind of stories, anecdotes where things may have gone wrong or a bit humorous because of your
yeah. So because I went through your questions last night and I was like, yeah, can I answer that? Yeah, can I answer that? And I was funny stories. I was like, oh, I can't really think of anything. I was talking to my wife about it, and we racked our brains for a bit, and then we talked about like this was a few years ago. We'd not long been married, and we were living together. And we were living together as man and wife. We were married. Don't think we had kids at this point, but one of my shall we say quirks is I tend to pick up and drop hobbies like a hot stone, and my wife calls it my toad of Toad Hall tendency. So I just get into stuff, and at this particular point, I got into like making sourdough bread, and that was the first time I got into sourdough bread, and then I got into sourdough. It's got a couple of like fits and starts with it. I've got a starter in the fridge that I haven't touched for months, but yeah, this is my one of my first sourdough loaves, and if you've ever made sourdough, you'll know that it's quite a wet dough to work with. And it can be quite frustrating to get it to shape it and to knead it. And I got really, really cross with this dough. Really, just my emotional regulation was just off the charts. Everything was just like there were lights going off. I was just absolutely furious. So I just got this down, I hurled it in the bin. I'm absolutely furious. I was like, right, that's it. Unfortunately, my wedding ring found its way into the dough, so I found myself almost on the verge of tears going through the bin trying to find this wedding ring stuck in a load of dough. So yeah, that was the one that didn't immediately spring to mind, but yeah, that was quite the thing.
That's so funny because, like you say, getting into something, being really into it, and the fact that you then just threw it away sounds like you didn't want to see that bit of dough ever again. And then you were like, I can imagine you picking through it, finding your wedding ring.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you. Oh, thank you for sharing that. That's made me cry with laughter. So what helps you cope with your ADHD challenges?
I think owning it is a big thing, and so I've started on a new project at work. And the way we work, because we're an agency, we sort of go into different clients and work with different teams, and so you're always having to sort of introduce yourself and say what's going on. One of the things we started to introduce is like a user manual to me, and just sort of spelling out exactly how you like to work, and owning that stuff, and like saying, oh, I can't really do long meetings, I need time to decompress, and I don't always take in too much stuff via written communication. I tend to take stuff in via osmosis, that sort of thing, like owning it, taking lots of breaks, and just catching myself. I mean, having coaching with you, Susie, was really helpful to sort of unpick where things were going wrong and being able to second guess where some things were starting to go wrong, where be that overwhelm or overstimulation or emotional regulation, those sorts of things. Just having that bit of self-knowledge and understanding has helped me massively to just sort of stop myself in my tracks and go like, oh, okay, so this is happening now. I need to go and go and take a walk, or I need to do something else. Yeah, those things have been immensely valuable. So
yeah, absolutely. And like you say, kind of owning it, speaking up about it, as it's not a thing to be ashamed of, and it takes courage and it takes time, but with that knowledge and understanding that you have of yourself, it's can almost be a bit easier to, I guess you're advocating for yourself, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No one else is going to do it, so you really need to be there, front and center. I mean, we have to do this all the time for our son at school, because he can't really advocate for himself yet. But yeah, we have a lot of fights at school. It's not great.
Cool. Thank you. So what would you say to somebody that's just been diagnosed and is feeling perhaps a bit lost or confused?
I would say read up as much as you can. Understand and join forums like the ADHD UK forums on Facebook are immensely valuable. They're really good to sort of talk to people who have been going through the same thing. Research and reading is like it's really good to just help you understand yourself and help you understand where things what is going on in your brain. I can't remember the name of the book. Right, I need to put this in the comments. The name of the author. It's completely gone. I'll send it to you and just stick it in the show notes. But yeah, that was when the light bulb went on for me, and helped me understand myself and understand my son, and also understand my daughter, who I think we're currently looking for an ADHD diagnosis for her as well, because it's very different for women and girls, but so her symptoms manifest themselves very differently. But yeah, we're going down that fun track now with my youngest as well.
Yeah, well, thank goodness you know what it is and what to look out for, so you can get the support for your children, and and you've getting, now you know what's going on for yourself as well.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
And knowledge is power, isn't it? You can't really with something well if you don't know what's going on. So thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Right. That's the end of the interview. Thank you so much for coming, Stuart. And
no problem. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure to talk to you.